The holidays are a common time of the year for people to have heart attacks. The American Heart Association says more people die from heart attacks during the last week of December than at any other time of the year, and even people without heart issues can experience what's known as holiday heart syndrome. Dr. Tyler Ellington with the Oklahoma Heart Institute is here to discuss how we can all take better care of our hearts during the holidays. Thanks for being here, Doctor. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Tell everybody, what is holiday heart syndrome exactly?
So the holiday heart syndrome is a name for a condition that people can get. It doesn't have to actually happen around the holiday season. It's probably a more common time for it just because of the factors that can cause it. So it's mainly associated with heavy use of alcohol, like binge drinking, and it tends to happen more commonly to people who usually don't drink very much. So of course around the holidays, people tend to get into the eggnog and mulled wine or various other alcoholic beverages that they probably don't consume all year long. So that's, I think, why we see more of it around this time of year.
Interesting, yeah. So what are some of the conditions, some of the symptoms, I guess, that people might experience when this does happen? Yeah,
so it can refer to a few different conditions, including so sometimes they're more benign, irregular heart rhythms, but the main one that that gets our attention is called atrial fibrillation, and that can occur in a lot of other contexts, but specifically when it occurs as a holiday heart syndrome, it's actually one of the more benign ways that it can show up, because it usually tends to go away by itself, and like I said, it's brought on by heavy alcohol use, and so if you cut back on that or moderate your alcohol use, it should protect you from it coming back. But that sort of thing happens and you feel like your heart's racing or taking off or you're having some chest pain, of course you want to get that checked out by your doctor.
So you mentioned the alcohol, but what are some of the other things that maybe could help contribute to this? Is it just the general overall stress of the holidays, that type of thing?
Yeah, so of course there's more stress around the holiday season with people traveling more and having to cross off the shopping lists and everything, but it's typically something that we'll only see in if you're not, and it doesn't have to come with a lot of alcohol. It's just sometimes even just a couple of drinks in a person who's not used to it and especially sensitive to it. But that's a pretty big component of the problem, and that's why you can see it on spring break or even other times of the year like that.
Interesting. Well, all right, tell folks, when it's always that juggling act of when do I go see the doctor, when do I go get medical help, when do I not worry about it, and it's a tough thing to figure out when you're talking about your heart. So when should somebody maybe go get an opinion on what they're going through?
So atrial fibrillation is a serious medical condition that can set somebody up to have, potentially a stroke. It's about the worst thing that it can do to a person. That's not especially likely to happen to somebody who's otherwise young and healthy, has an episode of holiday heart, but if that's your first episode of atrial fibrillation, I think it kind of needs to come to the attention of your family physician, or if you have a cardiologist, of course, you'd probably want to let them know that you've been experiencing those symptoms.
Better to be safe, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, doctor, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
All right, station.